looking at you, kid.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
I'll have what she's having.
Boss will be with you, always.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Could you repeat that again?
How'd that go again?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed that. I couldn't hear. Could you repeat that again? That wonderful story. No, I didn't. Please.
Sorry how a girl looked at me the way I ate a burger.
Can you give us the exact? And now you're eating a burger. Okay. Oh,
burrito.
Yeah, it's a burrito. I apologize. Yes, and yeah, Abe is eating,
Hi.
and this is Gone with the Wind. Cue the music. As you can tell now, we are very, very loopy. We have.
Isn't that the character of One Piece?
What happened?
I don't even know what's so funny, but
I don't know what's funny. You can tell that we have lost it as individuals. Like, for instance, we can't see each other in real life. Oh, this is Gone with the Wind, the show about award shows where we talk about award shows or something like that. Hi, I'm Manning, and because we're not. Listen, we're all from across the globe. It's the first time listening to us, and if the first time listening to us, I apologize. That is not how we usually do things. We're very professional here. Very professional. We're literally all in different countries. So how about that? But here with me today is a wonderful panel. We have Malcolm.
I'm excited to actually talk about award show stuff.
I know, right? We're usually bi-monthly. I don't know. It means both. I'm confused. But I decided to call it emergency one because there's actually now information that came out here. And so I decided, why not? Let's do it. And we also have Ryan.
what is up, guys? I'm having the drink that would correspond to Abe's food tonight. But yeah, it's exciting to finally have a podcast with some news.
Is it shaken and not stirred?
Oh, it's very shaken. It's margarita.
It's very
It would be a mistake to stir that.
Stir. Here you go, sir, Mr. Bond. All right, and we have Abe.
Hi, hello, good morning. How are you?
And how's the burrito, Abe?
Actually, pretty good. It was better than the last time.
Was it the exact same burrito?
Exact same burrito.
Huh. I guess the person who made it had a better touch. Okay, anyway, so thank you guys for listening to this episode. This is the 51st episode of Gone with the Wind. Hello, what was that? There's actually news to talk about. So I decided, why not? Let's discuss it and just kind of throw out all that baggage that we have. Because, of course, COVID-19 is now... It's not going away, per se, anytime soon until we have some sort of... Why are you laughing, Ryan?
I don't know. It's just amusing.
I appreciate that I amuse you. I appreciate that. For those who can't see, this is only podcast. This is audio only, so you're not privy to the our beautiful bearded faces. So this
That's
is the.
I'm also torturing.
That's for our Patreons only, which doesn't exist.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Someday. No, I'm torturing the panel with. I have my laptop like somewhat on my stomach, and as I laugh, it's like bouncing up and down.
Oh, that's what that.
Being a little bit annoying to my co-anchors here.
I didn't even notice it until I didn't notice it. Now I'm going to just stare at that when that happens and like, okay, there it is. I just see it now. Now I know for a fact. But yeah, stuff actually happened, and some big things actually happened this past week. Namely, we're talking about AMC once again, as well as another big company, Universal, because they had. Actually, I should probably ask first. Universal released Trolls World Tour this past. Is it 2 weeks ago or last week? 2 weeks ago? No, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago. Have any of us watched it?
No.
We're a movie podcast, guys.
Well, I mean, it's. I don't know if they've released it in New Zealand on digital as part of the reason.
Oh.
I would.
Yeah.
Because it took us ages to get some of the other movies that we released straight to digital over here.
That's very true. I didn't think about that because you think they would do it at the same time to maximize their profit, but I'm not Universal. I'm not in charge of their finances, but apparently it did so well. Actually, Ryan, you just talked about the numbers. Do you happen to have those up with you right now, or Malcolm or Abe, whoever has them first, about what it made from those last 3 weeks Trolls World Tour?
So Trolls World Tour made almost $100 million over the course of 3 weeks, which was pretty solid in comparison to the original, which, drew in, I think somebody was saying 124 in that same time frame. And so, honestly, like, it didn't look too bad. Like, Trolls, as bad as it, as much as I don't want to say it on some level, because it doesn't bode well for the future of theaters, but like the fact that they could make it work this way, it calls some things into question.
Which is the discussion we're going to have along the lines right now, and is our main discussion, because AMC came out and gave a blistering message to Universal Pictures. And if you hear that beautiful wrapping paper, that is Abe with his burrito. He muted himself. No, you're fine. I just was like, it sounds like those old movies where someone's like, I'm breaking up with you, and they're just putting the little paper. Does any of you guys remember that or no? No? No?
Vaguely.
Vaguely. Really?
One movie where you're watching when someone break up.
I don't. Well, see, I see. No, haha. It's a phone. They did it a lot in Disney Channel, Nickelodeon TV shows.
I know what you're talking about.
And it's like, I'm breaking up. Yeah.
Or I'm going through a tunnel.
Yeah, that's exactly okay. Anyway, so AMC came back, I believe this past Tuesday. They gave a blistering message to Universal Studios saying, along the lines of, actually, let me get you a quote. It's disappointing to us, but Jeff's comments as a Universal unilateral actions and intentions have left us with no choice. Therefore, effective immediately, AMC will no longer play any Universal movies in any of our theaters in the United States, Europe, or the Middle East. And this was in response to the head of NBC Universal CEO Jeff Shell saying, the results of Trolls World Tour have exceeded our expectations and demonstrated the viability of PVOD. As soon as theaters reopen, we expect to release movies on both formats. That's simultaneously at the same time, not a delay of any kind, not for any special cases whatsoever. But once theaters open and we are back to the quote unquote new normal, they plan to do that at this time, at the same time. So you will get it both in the theater and at home as an option. And AMC was having none of that real fast. And of course, Regal was also having none of that real fast. And then like nearly 24 hours later, they retracted that. So, which is unfortunate because I really only have Regals here. So I was kind of like, come on, guys, pick a side, do something. Don't do that. But anyway, so with this new information, Ryan, you made a point by saying this doesn't bode well for the future of movies. I will say as a counterpoint as well, too, this is during a time where movie theaters are not there and do not have an option by imagination. And again, it is a kid's movie. So parents probably more likely, I'm just going to, turn this on for my kids. But again, that is devil's advocate here. It does not bode well in the sense of what this could mean for other potential films outside of a traditional kids film. But I throw that out to you guys, the panel right now. What do you think of these comments from the AMC Theaters chairman, Adam Aaron, as well as the NBC Universal, and it's a little back and forth that they've had, and they're still going on right now. Regal's out of this because, they backed out.
I mean, I think it's a case of Universal got too cocky from their one success when it was like can't move this supposed to get a theatrical release, and they put the VOD. And so, I mean, and I think that was probably what really pushed the buttons. It's like, we put this movie, it was going to go to cinemas, but it's like, it made all this money, so it's like, we're going to be able to do it from now on. I don't know how well it's going to do if movie theaters are open again, because it's if it's something like Fast 9 or something like that, which people are going to want to see it on the big screen because it's going to work better, then people will go to cinemas more, then download it. But if it's going to be something small like, I don't know, I can't think of an example, but I think that those sort of ones might get more traction on video on demand.
That is true. Now, Ryan, I know you're the one that shared this with us in the chat, and you called it petty. I want to know your opinion upon this, about the idea of AMC now refusing to sell refusing to show an entire movie studio because of this.
Yeah, so I think that AMC is. AMC is somewhat grasping at straws, and they're trying to react because Universal has said look, these are our movies, and we can release them how we want, and then AMC is trying to grasp at whatever power it has and is being like, well, no, we're not going to release you. And I just think that AMC, it doesn't have as strong of a leg to stand on, and that was sort of the point that Universal was making with this. And I think that at the end of the day, a company that's in the position that AMC is in would be better to kind of adapt and try and find ways to work in these different markets and how it can kind of integrate itself to do better. So, for example, here in Canada, because I'll just throw our main theater chain out as an example, Cineplex here, they also have an extensive online presence, online rental store, online streaming, and it's an extremely, I'm assuming for them, financially, it's an extremely effective second source of income. That's probably led to them not totally dying, even though I'm sure they've been seriously damaged.
I love how your barometer is. They haven't totally died.
Well, so they still have the capacity to send out emails telling you to stream movies on their platform. I note that I haven't received an AMC notification in quite some time. So I just at the end of the day, I think that AMC doesn't have much to say. But what I'm really afraid of, when I made the comment earlier about this being a problem for movies and cinemas, is not that I'm afraid that there aren't movies that people will go see. There are plenty of those. And if Disney, as much as it loves releasing things on Disney Plus, is going to continue to release its movies in theaters, and they're going to continue to be big tent poles, and hundreds of millions of people are going to go. And fine, that's great. I'm happy for that. What I'm afraid of as a movie fan, and as a fan of a lot of smaller movies, is that there's a large market segment that doesn't make the theaters a ton of money, and that doesn't make the films a ton of money. And if the films figure that they can do, if releasing some of these big tent poles through Universal is showing that Universal can still make money through these sort of streaming platforms, if smaller budget movies like your A24 movies of the world, just to pick to pick a slightly bigger example, it's not impossible to imagine that they could start to port that way. We could get fewer movie theaters that just focus on the tent poles. And I think that as a movie fan, in the long run, that's not good for us. But
yeah, and I know I was going to I do agree with that. I merely play devil's advocate in the sense of hey, you know what, this may or may not happen because it's a singular film. And Malcolm, you gave a good point that they might have jumped the gun in the sense of we're going to do this for all of our releases. So I think they did jump the gun. We'll see how true. They don't, for all their releases. You don't think they're going to do that?
Yeah, no, I think that they're saying that, but do we really convincingly think they're going to release Fast and the Furious day and date? No, of course we don't. Will they do it with some of their Blumhouse movies? Yeah, I totally believe they will. But it's going to be movie by movie, and I don't buy Universal's argument there.
That's true. Yeah, I guess the theory in and of itself of them doing this and the harm it could do has probably more weight than the actuality. Because again, this is all took place over a period of a week, and then AMC decided to make the statement, even though when they themselves are also in the midst of possible bankruptcy. So I don't know if they have an actual, as you said, Ryan, a leg to stand on in all this right now. It's just kind of like they're having a boxing match, and this little guy's just kind of punching his knee right now, trying to think he'll fall down, and it's not working.
Yeah, AMC can't afford to go, we're not going to show any Universal movies because, yes, Disney Warner Brothers release probably the most movies every year.
I was about to say,
Universal are still releasing movies, so I mean, and AMC wants to get as much money as it can get to avoid going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And isn't Universal in the past 5 years the only other company than Disney that's been number one at the box office overall?
Oh, jeez, that's a.
I think.
Not number one, but it's the studio that most competes because that is Despicable Me franchise.
Didn't they finish number one year?
I think Warner Brothers might have been up there at one stage, maybe around the Harry Potter times.
If you're thinking about 2015, it's not, because that was the year they had Pitch Perfect.
That was the year they had what?
I don't remember which one.
You said Pitch
they have
Perfect?
Despicable Me.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a Universal. That movie, the second one, made like 567.
really? What?
The second one did make a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
Did it?
Oh,
wow.
Pardon my language.
I was about to say we're already explicit on the little check over there for a podcast. So
Really?
too late now.
Sorry.
I'm too lazy to cut any of this stuff out, guys. So I had fun sound effects, and that's about it.
I don't know if Manning read this, but the quote that struck me the most of the cinema world, well, who quoted that? Universal unilaterally chose to break up or understanding the.
You okay? Wait, we lost Abe. Abe's gone, guys. He's gone.
Sorry.
Take a breath, Abe. No, but what Abe was saying, I believe it was the Cineworld, the Regal owner's Cineworld chimes in, is what you were saying, correct?
Yes.
That one. Which is interesting because Cineworld may own Regal, but then Regal came out with on their Facebook page, took a screenshot of that, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Them saying, and I quote, "Regal is not boycotting Universal nor any other studio. We will continue our normal policy and play movies that respect the theatrical window and allowing movies to be released first in theaters prior to streaming or VOD platforms." So,
my understanding of this, of quotes and probably what AMC is that, theaters have different contracts, depends on the movie, how much the movie is making, and these contracts, I know because I remember a couple years ago, with Justice League, there was this rumor that was not gonna play in the biggest chain of cinemas in Mexico because Warner Bros. and Cinepolis, which is the chain, hadn't reached an agreement, and it actually happened with Suicide Squad, with the second biggest chain, and it was 2 or 3 weeks before. So my understanding is they probably had a deal, at least I don't know if they have signed something, and Universal decided to, put the movie on demand to make the most money possible because Trolls had already opened worldwide in some parts of the world, if I'm not mistaken. It had opened in 6 territories, 7. So I people are saying that AMC is doing something stupid, but they're sticking to their guns. They're trying to. Do I think it's gonna happen? No, because in Universal you have 3 franchises, biggest of the world. You have the Jurassic World. That's $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have now you have Bond, which was with Sony, but now moved to Universal with a new deal.
Oh yeah,
That's
you're right.
$1 billion franchise.
Yeah.
And they have another one, which is a big one, which I can't remember.
Yeah, and I mean the majority of the movies that have been released to straight to VOD and bypassing cinemas altogether have all been sort of family-orientated films because you got Trolls World Tour, you got Scoop, and you got Artemis Fowl, which are ones that will appeal more to families or kids. So they haven't done a big one yet. That's probably going to be the big telling of if they would ever do that. And
2 clarifications as well too. Abe, the other franchise you mentioned Jurassic Park. You mentioned what was that?
Despicable Me.
Despicable Me, and then the Fast and Furious is what the one that Ryan had mentioned prior. But also that second clarification I have is that reading into this Regal article a bit more, they say they will not be boycotting Universal. They will gladly release any movie Universal puts out, but they will be respecting the theatrical window, meaning they will not be, releasing a movie that has streamed on VOD within the first 90 days since its release. So it's not something that Universal will do in particular. They will just continue honoring that established rule, and I'm curious to see if other franchises like Cinemark will be doing the same too, because I know that's been a rule for the longest time. So we will see how that plays out, but that is just a clarification.
Yeah.
Because what studios have tried to do, well, Netflix tried to do it last couple of years, is like
Yes.
cut that window. Like make it 45, I think was the deal they were trying to make with AMC, but they keep with the 90, which I don't understand why they cut it, because usually films don't go until the 90 unless it's like a big blockbuster.
Yeah.
Most aren't, so.
See, the thing is, we're in really unprecedented. We're in very unprecedented times at the moment. I find it curious because things are going to be changing probably overnight again, not physically overnight, but like from where we are now to where we'll end up once COVID-19 has run its course. At least this particular strand of COVID-19. When the pandemic is officially over, where will we be? Where will we be as moviegoers? And that's the big question I think most of us have on our lips. Are we going to have movies waiting until far out? Will we even thinking about, or will people even care the fact that movies will have that option, be it VOD or actual theatrical movie release? It's just kind of at this point, there are so many other things going on that I'm just curious if people will care at this point. And at this point, they may not be. It might be a nice distraction, but I'm curious to see how that evolution of thought is going to, how that evolution of thought will progress among the general audiences if they have an option to see a movie in their home or if they have an option to see it in the theaters. Will there be an uprising from us who really appreciate the, and by uprising, I mean a general outcry, not a physical uprising. Everyone sit down. From just what does it mean for the movie theater experience and seeing these smaller films from other organizations, like we mentioned A24, Neon's another one, who just they have Parasite. That was their biggest movie they've probably ever had in the longest time, and they came out guns a-blazing. Will we be able to have movies like that? Will that disappear and die? That's the thing I know the four of us be most concerned about at this point, because we don't want to see that go away. That's kind of intrinsic to the movie experience, seeing these smaller films as well as seeing the bigger ones, but seeing the smaller films, because movies are not just big popcorn action filler, Fast and Furious, Star Wars, whatever, name it, Marvel film. It's some more intimate films, and I hope that does not die once we get back to the normalcy of things. So I hope that Universal and AMC and whoever's in this boycotting discussion can sit down like adults and decide, all right, what is the movie? What is it going to look like as we progress forward? Because if you isolate yourselves further, it's only going to rip the movie industry apart, because it's going to sound super cheesy, and I apologize. We're literally all in this together. If movie chains, movie companies, movie makers are all in that sphere together, because if one starts to go down, the other one's going to feel those effects. So that's my 2 cents.
Can I add one quick thing before we move on?
Oh, I just had a nice long soapbox speech, so please, you go ahead. You take all the floor.
Well, I guess 2 quick things. One thing I do want to add, as much as I will say that like I love the theatrical experience, and I think that there are many films that I fear not getting it that deserve the theatrical experience, I will say there are some benefits to home viewing that some cinephiles really kind of like write off and don't pay enough attention to. And I don't want to be that type. So as much as I made my comment earlier, I wanted to kind of clarify that like I do see the benefits. Like I had a great time watching The Invisible Man at home. I had a great time watching, like, even though I didn't love the movie as much, I had a great time watching Birds of Prey at home. Like, the movie still worked on the home screen. And, like, granted, I'm blessed to have a decent theater room with decent sound. So it's, it makes it a little bit of a better experience. But, like, I don't want to write off people's home experiences because, like, they are getting really good nowadays, and if there are people who care and people who do it really well, and while it will never match going to see a movie in IMAX or whatever, or even in a regular cinema in most cases, it's not totally invalid, and I don't want to invalidate somebody's thoughts on that front. Yeah, as much as I fear these films not being available to people like us who would rather go to the movie theater. Secondly, though, I did want to and I know this wasn't necessarily a topic for discussion. I did see some articles flying around about one of my favorite filmmakers, Mr. Nolan, working on trying to get theaters back up and running when this is all said and done. In his talks with them about Tenet, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on some of that, if you had any.
So, I was like, specifically, can you read out some of the article? Because I'm now looking and I'm trying to get real fast.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I didn't have the article pulled up, but I will pull it up now.
I read the headline.
I mean, I think it's mostly about Nolan just defiantly wanting to stick to his release date as much as possible.
I'm seeing that now. I'm not too surprised. The man is a workhorse.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll move that to you guys.
So,
What do you guys think about that?
I mean, it's definitely one of those ones in which is interesting. And I mean, I appreciate that Nolan really wants to stick to his release date and want to make sure there's something to come out if cinemas do open up that early. Because from what I've heard is I think AMC's not going to open up until the next major release. I think they've kind of said. But it's going to pose the issue of do they continue to promote this movie, or do they just put it in cinemas without marketing behind it? Because it's one of those ones there's still about 2 months. They're going to need to get some marketing out there if he really wants to stick this out, so people actually know it's coming, and so they know that they can actually watch it at the cinemas. But if it doesn't have that marketing, then it's not going to do well at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say, I found the article. What I just wanted to tell everyone is from Indie. I'm looking at IndieWire. I'm not sure if that is the one you had.
That's
Ryan.
the main article that I saw on it.
The headline was Christopher Nolan is working harder than anyone to get theaters open, says IMAX CEO. IMAX is relying on remote workplace tools to continue gearing up for the July theatrical release of Christopher Nolan's Tenet. So Nolan is hell-bent upon making sure that Tenet not only comes out in July, but that also that their theaters are ready for it as well too, which I appreciate that. Because wouldn't it be crazy if the first movie back was Tenet? That's the first movie that I was about to say it wouldn't need any marketing.
It's possible for a lot of us. Here, and we were kind of talking about it off air, what our different countries or provinces or states reopening strategies are. And we have theaters are still relatively distant in our future here, as good as our province has been, and it wouldn't be totally crazy that to see a movie that's coming out in July be the first one that really theaters are open for.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones. The other thing is, if it doesn't get, all it really needs is maybe one trailer or something to say it's coming. But in saying that, if it doesn't get that trailer, will people go see it if it's got no marketing behind it and they don't know what to expect from this movie? So all we've got is Christopher Nolan and the name and the hype surrounding it. So
don't you think the movie will get enough marketing just by news? I
was about to say
to open by.
This movie is the first one to open post-coronavirus.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
And the question is, will people will be willing to go back? And maybe older people not, but young people, you just have to look at your Instagram stories of people you went to high school with, still partying, don't caring about this.
Yeah.
That's very specific, Abe.
Whatever. I see people partying sometimes, having small reunions of 6 people, which is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But
CNN devoted a solid half hour the other night to the fact that a host of theirs had a baby. I'm pretty sure
like people want to go out, and I think they will willing to do it, and like anything that's play. And I mean, it has the guy from Twilight. That's a sell. Is the director?
Robert Pattinson is an actor from Good Time, The Lighthouse.
I know. But like, if you want to grab it on that way, like people being interesting. Oh, it has that cute guy from. He was a vampire.
It has the next Batman.
He's a great actor.
There you go.
And he has
And the guy from Black Klansman.
Yeah, and the director from the Batman movie everybody likes. So that's just makes sense. It's a cool selling point, and if people are willing to go, I think 17, like July 17th, it's I think Tenet can make the money everywhere.
Yeah,
because it needs it. 200 million is a ton of money.
That's a ton.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not that because I mean it's one of those ones like I don't know how. Because unless you're in the movie community space and if you're following the movie news, like know that this movie's being made and how secretive it has been and how crazy Nolan can get. Outside of that, if you're just some general Joe blogs going in, like you're going to want to see something about the movie or maybe some scenes or something. And if you don't have that, it could be distract. Because the other thing is, you got people who wait for the reviews from critics to before they go see a movie. So I think if they want to stick to this release date, I think what they need to do is, if it's ready, maybe send some screeners or something to critics like they'll do for the Oscars, and so they can actually get some reviews out. And once some of those reviews are out and it maybe has a bigger Rotten Tomatoes, I think that could make it work for people to want to go see it. I'm not saying, Abe, I'm not saying that people aren't going to see it flat out.
It's not about that. Like you talk about screeners, I don't think Nolan will allow that because he's really
true.
I mean, it may be true. But it's also one of those ones like, they're going to need some sort of thing to sort of go, this movie is definitely coming out. I mean, it's not going to move the week before it's supposed to come out.
Go
ahead, Abe.
I guess like for them to marketing, usually big movies make like 2 weeks before push about the movie once critic reviews start coming out. So I guess they'll have an idea if they're gonna be able to reopen and like put that much money into the marketing for it. Like that, and maybe they're saving money for the marketing because why are we paying TV spots right now? So they're probably gonna save a couple $1 million or lose it. I don't know. Well, I'm not a marketing.
Well, and like also like with this movie, and I mean, granted, only really film fans are going to notice or care about this, but because and I don't want to say there are so many that it's like everything. It's clearly not, but like there are far more film prints of this movie than there are than there are on most releases. And rolling that out is not something that you can do on like a week's notice.
That is true.
So they're going to have to start getting ready for that.
Oh yeah. What I found interesting is they're going to have to, their marketing will have to very shift. Like they could, by definition, build hype around this movie being the first movie back into the theaters on that alone. And not even mentioning the fact that this is Christopher Nolan, which is an added bonus because he is a director that people go see movies for. He's like a Tarantino or a Scorsese. That name, you hear that and it's like, oh, I want to see that vision. So I would be fine with him sitting down in front of a camera and then being like, hello everybody, I'm going to make movies coming out. This is what you could expect, but I'm not going to give you the plot. So something along those lines, just put it out on YouTube, Facebook, social media platforms, because we're on the internet a lot. We're on TV a lot just because we don't have much to do right now, guys. We're kind of in a stay-at-home orders for some of us, quarantine and all that jazz. So it's just at this point, just trying to walk that line and kind of feel things out. But all right, so I'm gonna ask a question: do we think this is the movie? Is this the movie, the first movie back? Will Nolan get his release date if he has his way? Think hard on it.
I mean, it's one of those ones like. There's precedent for some movies doing well from limited marketing, because I think Cloverfield is one, because I think they only did really one like a one sort of trailer that sort of before that came out that but it's one of those ones. I mean, if Nolan wants to have his way and wants to get this movie out, there needs to be something to let people know it's coming.
Yeah. And I think they will do that. I mean, they have a wise marketing team. They know that Nolan does not want to divulge any big secrets, but at the same time, having that out there would be a nice boon for the film industry, I would think, because this movie, it is from a director's vision who is very pro for the actual experience. We all have those memes about him. I forgot who originated or where it came from, but people watching Dunkirk on their cell phones or something along those lines, which you should not do, but no. I find it funny. It's funny regardless. So anyway, Abe and Ryan, your thoughts on if that will be a thing?
Okay, I guess I'll go first.
I was about to say, you can fight to the death if you guys want to.
Yeah, no, I think that there's I'll give it maybe like a 28% chance that it's the one. I mean, it's so hard to tell, and things keep changing, and I don't know, I'm obviously looking largely at the area around me and how things are going here. I think there's plenty of U.S. states that are going to hold the line. And I think that there will be movies that come out in some of those states before Tenet, so I don't think that Tenet's necessarily the one. But do I think Tenet hits a wide release and hits most markets in North America at the same time? I could see that. I mean, end of July is not crazy. It's not crazy talk to assume that could happen. But it's so hard to say. And a lot of it depends on so many factors that we don't know yet. We don't know how this virus is going to respond to the summer, although we got lots of good news on that. And honestly, if you're looking for good news on the virus, this week was filled with tons of good news. So definitely we have a lot to look forward to in some ways, as hard as this has been and will continue to be. And I'm not trying to make light of that, but yeah, so I mean, like I said, I give it an okay shot of being the one, but I'm far from saying it's more likely than not to be the one.
Abe?
I want to say yes, but it's hard for the US, especially because it's the most money making next with China that makes the movie profit. Because if you look at the graphs of the other big markets in the world, like the Russia, the Italy, they're starting to recover, if you will say so, going back to normal in a slow pace, which probably will
slow pace, yes.
Yeah, will probably be better in July. I think worldwide there's a possibility. For the US, it's still hard for me because I was reading this article a couple days ago, predictions of when this whole thing will be over. For some countries, and for the US, it's early September, end of August, where cases will be 99% down, so only 1% of the case will be up or something that. Yeah, so it's hard for I think it will. I don't know at what extent, but I think July 17, depends how. I think we will know by the end or beginning next month, because they will have to make a decision to put a trailer out or something, because they have to, as Malcolm was saying, they will have to start pushing the movie.
Cool. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, this really gets close to a political question, but
oh boy.
But I think that most people agree, and even if some are not willing to say it, that the shutdowns that we still have in a lot of places, it's not that they're necessarily a bad idea. or that there's not good reasons for them to go on for an extended period of time. But we're going to hit the wall at some point where we can't keep it up anymore. And then the question is, then do we just do what Sweden has been doing since the beginning? And how do we approach that, and how do we go about that? And like, obviously that leaves open a ton of questions. But are we at a point where we feel like we can try and be Sweden, or we can try and be more open than Sweden is now by July? Like, it seems it's not crazy. I don't think it's totally beyond the realm of possibility that July is that timeline. Given that a lot of jurisdictions are just straight up opening now. And even more cautious jurisdictions like the one that I'm in have proposed opening strategies, and opening strategies that are going to begin in the next couple of weeks. So
these next couple weeks are going to be crucial as we start to see things, because China's movie theaters have not yet opened. They still have not opened yet.
They opened for a second, and then they closed them again.
Yes. They're like, nah.
And well, can we all agree that China's just lying about their case numbers? Like,
I mean, at this point,
I know the Chinese censors are now going to remove us from the Chinese podcasting market, but
darn.
But I'm assuming.
Oh no, they just censored Abe. He's gone.
I'm assuming we weren't doing very well with them anyways. But,
no, we're not.
But there's no way that they've had no new cases in the past 6 months. It's just not. It's not, or the past 3 months. It's just not possible.
Yeah,
it's not that it's.
I'm not one to go into politics for this podcast, but specifically speaking, China is not known for being honest. That's an understatement. China is not known for their honesty. So while I'm not one to believe in conspiracy theories, and you will hear me state that many times if you meet me in person or whatnot, I am not going to believe them right out on everything. Everything. Of course, at this point, that is their problems right now are the last things that we need to worry about at this point in structure, in my opinion. At this point, this is a movie podcast. Oh, for those who don't know, Sweden has taken a very relaxed policy in social distancing measures. And in fact, I don't think, have they closed anything?
No, not really. They've sent out social distancing suggestions,
guidelines,
and they've requested that all vulnerable populations isolate and self-quarantine, but they've largely kept all businesses open and let the young and healthy population kind of go about its business.
Well, we'll see how that works in about another month or so. I'm curious to see, maybe another week or so. I'm curious to see how that's going to happen, because I can't condone that, but we're going to see how that happens, because we can't stay everything cannot stay closed forever. I think everyone admits that. Yeah. We cannot stay closed this much longer for an extended period of time. And I think movie theaters are going to be, sadly, some of the last things that will be open, because you're in a tight space for a plus couple hours. And you're just... And of course, before actually theaters were closed down, things were at half capacity. They tried to implement it in the best way they could. That being said, they're going to have to probably do that at the very beginning, at the very least, once they start to come back, because it's not going to be a full-on floodgates have been open type of thing. It's going to be a slow progression as we ease the water in ever so slightly. Abe, would you like to add anything?
You were talking about theaters slowly opening. I read the headline. I didn't read the article. I was gonna read it, but I got distracted with something else. But it said theaters are willing, they're gonna implement taking your temperature at the at the door, and having space between your group of people. I don't know, 2-3 people, have at least one seat between you and another group of people. So they're willing to open. I bet you ask them, they probably will open right now, because they're having a hard time economically.
Yeah.
They're not receiving any revenue. I don't think AMC's the only revenue AMC's getting is from their streaming service, of kind of rental thing that they have in their app. So yeah.
As someone who doesn't like sitting next to random people at the movie theater, I would be very happy with that change. It's a very small thing, but
that's why you have to sit in the row next to the house. That's what I do. I like to sit in the middle, but I don't want people next to me.
Yeah, that's the story of my life. That is that's one of my favorite first world problems. All right, but yeah, that is our discussion in regards to we kind of switched all the way from Universal and AMC, and now we brought it back to COVID-19 and the current pandemic. Look at that. It all comes back around. It's almost like the entire world is affected by this global pandemic. It's almost like it's almost like, but in fact it is. So, and again, for those of you who are listening, please, again, before I move on to the next topic, wash your hands, don't touch your face if possible, and follow the guidelines that have been instructed for where you live. Follow those laws because we don't know when this will be over, so just be patient. I know I'm going stir crazy. Today was not the best day personally, and I know that we've gotten into this rut, a lot of us, because Ryan, you were just saying beforehand, you get up, go to work, come back home. It's a cycle at this point.
Yeah. And I mean, it's become very routine. And like, I know for me, like, especially at the beginning, I was in a really bad place. And like, I'm glad that I've somewhat gotten through that. But like, know that like, if you're somebody who's in a tough place or you're struggling with one thing or another, like, you're not alone. And, you know, there are a lot of people who are feeling similar things, with all sorts of different problems. Like, you know, sometimes it's lack of work and the financial consequences that flow from that. Sometimes it's, you know, just loneliness. Sometimes it's just utter despair and depression. Maybe it's, you know, maybe heaven forbid you're somebody that's lost a loved one or has had a loved one seriously affected as a result of the disease.
Yeah.
Like, there are and a plethora of different ways that we're suffering, and I don't know that it necessarily makes it better, but we're suffering together. And if you are a listener and you think that you need help, like, I really encourage you to try and reach out to somebody, because there are a lot of ears who are there for you one way or another. Yeah. So. Yeah,
no, it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. This is unprecedented times that we're currently in right now, and I doubt that we'll ever see something like this in my lifetime. At least I hope not. Fingers crossed, because I don't know the future. I am no soothsayer. But Abe, anything you want to add before we move on to the next topic?
Nope.
No. Okay. Wise words. All right. So now, this is an award show where we talk about, you guessed it, award shows. So we actually have Oscar news. How about that? Guys, so far, it apparently seems that the Oscars will indeed come out next year. At this juncture, they still plan to have it. It remains scheduled for February 28th, 2021. So... Wait a minute, isn't that
February again?
Yeah. Wait a minute. I literally just read that, and I'm like, I thought it was like later in March.
No, it's early. They're always last week of February.
Is it? I thought it was the first week in March.
No, usually it's like the 28th, 27th. It's not much.
Huh.
Like last couple years before last year, which was like February 9th, I think.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's last week.
No, you're probably right. It just seems weird seeing February.
No, that's true.
I remember the last March was.
It's still. I think it's still a little bit early, but not as early as this year, which was ridiculous.
No. Like,
we all agree.
I'm okay with February 28th. I can live with that. That's good. I'll take it. I will take it. But anyway, so they've recently. I can't speak today, guys. One of the major categories, we mentioned this, I believe, in passing a little while ago during the Oscar season we were having previous year, but sound editing and sound mixing have officially been recognized into a singular category for best achievement in sound. This is monumental. Well, it feels monumental because nothing else has happened really in these last few weeks. So it feels like we've had something interesting to talk about. I know for the most part, because I know I heard there was an interview a while ago where we had sound designers and sound mixers and those in the sound departments talking about how they wouldn't mind it being thrown together, because I don't think many Joe Schmoes within the Academy really understood the difference between them. And I know it's always going to be a little finicky that trying to walk that line or walk that ice if you want to. But if those people who are within the branch are still, if you combine the categories and both sides are represented, I'm still all for that, because if the people within the category themselves are okay with it, then I'm okay with it. It's not like as long as everyone gets that award that they are meant to get, if it was going to be one separated, I'm okay with that. What are you guys' thoughts on this first change before we go to the other two changes that they have announced?
I think it's great. I think it makes sense. It's better than reading those honest ballots and people saying, "I have no idea what each one is or what they do."
Those ballots hurt.
And I think it's better. Best sound, which it makes sense. Like, I think it can have better wording because sound is also the music in the movie, which is kind of weird because that sounds better. Well, it's just weird. But yeah, I think it just makes sense. It's a nice change of pace. Maybe they can add another category. That sound, best casting director Oscar or whatever you want to call it. Then ensemble. You can add it. You have best stunts. You have that space. Like the ceremony will run the same. How much? You're probably gonna save 10 minutes. You can add another category. So I think it just makes sense. I think it's nice. Like the same people are gonna be recognized, but just with the different award, like sharing, if you will say so. But like it's nice. It's
yeah. I mean, I'm glad that it was made by the decision. At least according to the article that I read, it was made by the sound branch.
Yes.
And so if they honestly think that that one award is sufficient, then, by all means. Far be it from me, not somebody who's in the sound branch or with a lot of knowledge about the topic. I know what the differences were, but that does not mean that I'm an expert in that. So if they made that decision, by all means. If they made the decision to shorten up the Oscar telecast, then they can go get banned. But it doesn't sound like that was the reasoning.
No, it doesn't sound like that was the reasoning, and which I was happy about. It felt like they actually had a discussion and they had a change. They thought, okay, this is something that we were okay with. This is how you, quote unquote, shorten the Oscar length, guys. You don't, obviously that wasn't the intent by any stretch of the imagination, but you don't do it by not showing the awards actually being given.
When was the last time two categories did? Because
cinematography was one of the big ones, because that was the year that Deakins was going to win.
Oh, really? That was
Blade Runner 2049.
Oh no, but that got put together. Before it was best cinematography and best black and white cinematography and best.
Yeah.
Wasn't it art design and production design got merged?
No, they renamed it.
Or did they just rename it?
Yeah.
Production design. But I know what you're thinking. I'm trying to no, it was music. Remember, they had comedy in the 90s. They had music, score comedy musical, and score drama or something. Because I know that a lot of the Disney movies went with musical comedy. I will prove it right now. But in the meantime, do you guys have that article up at all, or is it just me?
I do.
Would you read me the next rule while I prove it to everyone, just because I want to make sure I'm right? We do not want to give fake news here on Gone with the Wind. We give you the most accurate, real news. But yeah, read that next change for us, whoever gets there first.
Eligibility rules for films opening on streaming services and video on demand are being temporarily altered to allow those films to qualify, even if not first appearing with the standard 7-day theatrical qualifying run or day and date. This affects a growing number of films appearing initially on streamers such as Netflix and Amazon, as well as VOD such as Universal's VOD premieres of Trolls World Tour and Judd Apatow's The King of Staten Island. I'm somehow suspecting that it's not going to really matter for The King of Staten Island. Whatever. An increasing number of films, including Beaker Street's Military Wives, as switching from theatrical to video on demand.
Because why not? Oh, jeez. Yeah. No, that is another. I don't know. There's nothing really to add. It's I get this. I get it because this is time and some things might drop streaming only, and I think they want to be all inclusive. So for this year, I think the relaxing of those rules is understandable, and I get it. So that's all the thoughts I have on this one.
And then Netflix finally did it. They actually, you know what?
Yeah.
What would be interesting for me is like, what about like those small films, like those that are put out by Annapurna. I don't remember what.
Close enough.
Like Neon, and what are those films making? Like, because they can make their money back. Like, oh, I'll sell it to Netflix, and they can come pay for it, and I won't spend any money, and I'm saving because of this. Probably I lose money. That's my only question. Like small films, like they put out like the festival films that, like, will I guess producers from films that play in Toronto. They usually get picked up by big studios. Well, Sundance no or South by Southwest because they already passed. Like, will they be more accessible, like to be sold to Netflix? Because we've read like I believe it was what was the name of the movie with Aquafina last year? The Farewell.
Oh,
The Farewell.
the fair. Yeah, I was about to say the Farewell.
I remember the director saying like, we have an offer from Netflix, but like, I wanted the movie to be he put in theaters, so that's what she wanted. And I wonder, like, the people making those choices, like for films that play in the fall, usually, like, will they be more willing to sell their films to streaming services because they'll still will qualify? So that poses an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's worth noting that still to qualify, they need to premiere on the Academy's exclusive streaming service.
Love how you
within
said that.
60 days of their initial VOD release. And in addition, the Academy is expanding its eligible theaters beyond those outside of LA County and into other areas and several cities as well to make this much easier to accomplish for distributors.
Wow. It's
what a
almost like
bold move.
I know, right? Honestly, I didn't realize
like the rest of the world existed.
I know. I didn't even know that was a rule until I found this out, and then I realized, well, it makes so much sense now. It makes so much sense. And just to confirm as well, too, before I forget, between 1995 and 1998. It was really weird. They decided to switch up best original score to best dramatic original score and best musical comedy original score.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was for 5 years. Sorry, no, not even 5 years. That was for 4 years. Oh, no, wait.
4 years.
1, 2, 3, 4. It was 4 years, yes. It was for 4 years, and then they went back to normal. So that's the last time we've ever had something like that. So
that's weird.
It's super weird. Fun fact of the day. Is there any more rules that we should be aware of?
Yes. In terms of the best international film category,
all
eligible voters in the Academy will now be allowed to vote in the preliminary rounds, just as they are now once 5 nominees are chosen. They will also be able to do so by seeing the qualified films on the Academy's viewing platform. Previously, this was done by a large committee of volunteers who attended screenings or could prove that they had seen them elsewhere in theaters.
So how do you prove that? Show me your ticket stub?
I guess. The current rules requiring each country to select its own submissions for Best International Film remain in place. And in light of the upheaval created by this worldwide pandemic, the Academy is in discussions with local film commissions around the globe to facilitate this process. So they did one thing right and then did another thing wrong.
Could you layman term that down, because I lost it halfway through thinking like, wait, what?
So for viewers, if you're not already familiar, the way that Best International Film is selected at the Oscars is that every country has a film board, and that film board selects a film that was released from it that it thinks is the best representation. So you only get one per country, and then people view those, or like Academy committees view those, and then they vote for which are the best 5. So in a situation like this year, where you had 2 films that arguably should have been nominated, but from France could only put up one film, and it put up what a lot of people would say was the wrong one, at least according to a lot of critics.
Abe is shaking his head dramatically.
I haven't watched Les Miserables, but
Neither have I.
It's so good.
Yeah, I've heard the Portrait of a Lady on Fire is fantastic, and so it's things like that. And it was like a couple of years ago, South Korea nominated some like random movie instead of nominating The Handmaiden. Like, there's been a lot of instances of these film boards kind of goofing, and so they did the right thing by letting the whole Academy, like they do for Best Picture, select the movies that will be in there. But they once again have kept the dumb other gatekeeping rule in place,
which is for
which are the film board selecting those movies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it is a step in the right direction. Thank you for refreshing me, because I totally forgot. Like, oh yeah, you just explained it in layman's terms for me, because I know the entire process sometimes for the Academy can be very complex and overtly confusing. Sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse. In this case, it was for the worse because there was so much stuff that transpired, and it was a mess. So this is something that I'm also very welcoming toward. A nice positive change. And there's also finally, Abe, any thoughts about that one before we move on? Or Ryan, either one? Just you whichever.
I think it's great. Like, they're making them actually watch it before voting for them. That's the way you have to do it. For every single film, like, if you're gonna vote for it, at least watch the movie, because have an opinion in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was what as Ryan said, like, they made a right choice and not a so good one. But at least they're doing something, That's how thing changes. Like, it's hard to change like all at once, but as you just said, step on the right direction. That's good.
So, out of curiosity, do you guys think that this, I mean, obviously they didn't announce the change in this round of changes, but do you think the change to allowing the full Academy to vote on these will ever turn into the full Academy voting on documentaries? Because as we've noted in the past few years, the documentary branch makes some interesting choices.
Yes, they do.
I'm curious, do you guys think that it's a possibility at some point in the future that those votes go up to the full Academy?
I do. I think the direction that we are heading at the moment is one where they're going to try to open it up to a lot more and not try to have quote unquote gatekeeping. No, not that. Now that being said, I don't think every single category will quote unquote be open to everyone to vote for nominations wise, because the nominees are chosen and then it's open up to everyone, just so everyone is made aware who is listening. But the process for the actual nominees to get selected is within that branch, or is there a committee within that branch? Forgive me if I'm Ryan. You probably know more about that than I do.
Yeah. So right now, nominees are selected by like members of the branch get to vote on the nominees.
Is it the entire branch or just a committee within the branch?
My understanding was it's the entire branch, but like
okay.
It's the entire branch.
It is. Yeah. Okay. For some reason, I just wanted to clarify that, because for some reason, committee was in the back of my mind, and I'm like, I don't know why.
Okay. So committees worked on the international films because it's not really it's not a branch per se, or it doesn't have like a clear branch distinguishing line. So they've had committees for that organization, but
yeah. So I don't think it'll happen anytime soonish, but if that's the direction we're heading toward, I would not be surprised. Do I want that? Maybe, maybe not, because documentary is a different type of filmmaking in comparison to just a foreign language film, because foreign language film or international film, however you wish to refer to it as, that's a film. That is still a motion picture in a different language. Yes. That is the only thing that is the difference. A documentary is very different. And while I may put that on my top 10 list, Ryan may not put it on his top 10 list.
True.
That's a personal choice. They are both films in different respects. They are both something that they do something differently. And I know the people who create documentaries have a much more, they have a better understanding of what makes a good documentary. Although that's questionable considering what has happened in the past 2 years. But yes, I'm not
the past 2 years, arguably the best documentaries of the year have not been nominated. Not they didn't win. They have not been nominated.
Like if they didn't win, like, okay, that's fine. I get it. But...
Like, okay, fine, I get it. You have a love affair with X, but like,
didn't even invite this person to the party. Literally.
Who, your ex?
Yeah, didn't invite.
Well,
yeah,
no,
they-
I was saying I was about to say they have a love affair like with the Obamas, but like then I decided that maybe that was not necessarily the right line
we've already
to go
gotten
with.
we've
But
already gotten so political already now, Ryan. Might as well jump in the pool.
I know.
12 feet in.
I'm sorry.
We'll find out when they make the rest of the documentaries and see what happens.
You said the Obamas. Go watch Bill Burr's Perfect. No, Paper Tiger. He has a great joke about Michelle Obama.
Wait, who?
Bill Burr.
I don't know who that. My knowledge.
You
of...
don't know who that is? Redhead.
No.
Well, he was a redhead. Now he's bald.
Oh, Bill Burr. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I it just didn't hit me who he was tonight. Anyway, that's not the point. All right, and finally, there is one more. Is there one more? Or did we all do them about the music category? We did that, right? Or no? The rule about that one? Did we mention that?
We did not mention that.
Okay. Abe, would you do us the favor? Do you have that up, Abe? So give you a chance to do something, or do you not have it up? Ryan, you may do it then.
So the musical original score category, for a score to be eligible, it now must comprise a minimum 60% original music. Additionally, for sequels and franchise films, the score must have a minimum of 80% new music. So
What was the rule before that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Was it 100%?
No, because, I mean, because I remember back in so many scores were disqualified because they had other music in there that they used. I know, what was it last year that was disqualified? I'm trying to remember. So the big one that I keep thinking of was a rival score that was disqualified because it had had previously used.
The Godfather score. That's the biggest one. It was disqualified because it has like a couple notes from another movie from that same composer, which I cannot remember.
Really?
Yeah, but it was disqualified. Berman had a great score that was disqualified because something about the instruments. But I don't know like how that involves with the 60-80%, but just some films that have been disqualified. Top of my head.
Okay.
You guys can talk, and I will find the answer to this.
Oh, good.
It's going to take me a few minutes.
No, you do that.
You know, Manny, I'm looking at this Oreo cupcakes recipe, and I think I'm gonna go buy some Oreos right now and make them today.
You know what? You do that. You know what? We're in a time of crazy, civil upheaval when we don't need it to happen. But you know what? If you can make a cookie while you can, you do that, sir. You can make that cookie. Oh, cupcake. You can make that cupcake. When you had Oreo, I think of cookie automatically. But Oreo cupcake does sound delicious.
I have I have it.
It is. Oh, speaking of what, Space Jam 2, the title's been revealed by LeBron James. Well, Ryan's looking that up, guys.
Wait,
distraction.
What?
Yeah. Space Jam 2 title's been revealed by LeBron James.
What's the name?
What's the title?
The title is. Wait, what? No, it's not. It is Space Jam 2: A New Legacy. It's super cheesy, but oh well.
I'm so excited.
Such an uninteresting title.
It is.
I don't even know what to say.
This Looney Tunes movie that came out like late 90s, early 2000s, I loved them as a kid. I just find it so intriguing, and I love the Roger Rabbit. When that combination of animation and live action, like those cartoon characters, it's made correctly. Like not trying, like they know, like they're cartoon characters in the world, like
yes.
the Roger Rabbit.
That's very. That's, I love it when that happens.
Ones which are kind of bad ones to watch them, like what's happening?
I enjoy both Looney Tunes adaptations. I really enjoy Space Jam. It's super fun. I watched it as a kid all the time. But Looney Tunes back in action, that was ridiculous. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I really like
Looney Tunes.
I remember the VHS or DVD had like 3D glasses on it. And you can actually watch it in 3D.
Really?
So I was thinking, yeah, I remember. I rented it and it had the 3D glass, and you could put it on and watch it on 3D at your home.
How did it turn out?
Okay.
It looked good.
Oh.
No, that looked good. Now we have.
So I've found an answer.
All right. What's the answer, sir?
they did not have percentages before.
Oh,
So before, I'll read you the rule verbatim because it's a little bit easier to understand that way,
okay.
and then we can kind of talk about it. So there are two ways in which a score was disqualified under the previous rules.
Okay.
So the first way, only the principal composers or songwriters responsible for the conception and execution of the work as a whole shall be eligible for an award. Expressly excluded from eligibility are the following: music supervisors, partial contributors, contributors working on speculation, and producers or arrangers. So that's the first group of people who aren't eligible.
Okay.
Second, a score itself shall not be eligible if,
Okay.
1, it has been diluted by the use of pre-existing music,
Diluted.
or 2, it has been diminished in impact by the predominant use of songs or any music not composed specifically for the film by the submitting composer, or 3, it has been assembled from the music of more than one composer.
Which that rule has always confused me. Like, so like you can have multiple people who do a specific, who are a team, a combination. Different writers can be in the same category, different sound designers, different, production designers. Are you saying people can't write film scores together? I never understood that. So I'm glad that one is no longer there.
Yeah. So this would be a dramatic loosening of these rules because,
yes,
I mean, who knows what it means to be diluted or diminished?
What a descriptive.
I think that in this is an example that Abe comes out with at the top of my head because in Shrek 2, listen to me. This is the point. I think what they're saying.
Shrek 2.
When I Need a Hero goes in, at the end, they actually if you listen to it closely, you can hear the score of Shrek that I don't remember the score. I don't know how to say it, singing it, but you can hear it the score of Shrek diluted, if you would say so. Correct term. With the music, I think that's where they're trying to say. That's my guess. That's my better guess. That's the example I could think of. But,
yeah, it just seems very pretentious to use that specific.
I mean, thankfully they change it.
Yeah,
now those percentages, animated films, I believe animated films need to be 70% animated or 80 to qualify for animated films.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's nice. They change it now. It gives opportunity to scores that I remember better that have been disqualified to be on. I remember the Berman scored better than the Alexander Desplat, the Grand Budapest Hotel score is so
I was going to say that's great.
That should have won that year.
Because I know for a fact that the Blade Runner 2049 score was disqualified because not only did it have multiple people, but they used previous work on someone that had left. And that score is still really good. And I still listen to that sometimes too, and I'm just want to get in a nice little transcendent mood. Oh, speaking of Blade Runner music, Ryan, you watched the new Star Wars episode, right? Clone Wars. No?
I haven't watched it yet.
And Abe doesn't watch it, so.
I'm sorry, Manning.
I know. Well, I will say this, and for those who are listening, know this little fun Easter egg. Not Easter egg, but an observation. The music that they use is unlike anything else I've ever heard in Star Wars, that I've heard at least. It is very Blade Runner ominous, and I won't spoil what happens in the episode. If you read descriptions, you kind of know what's going to happen. But there's a
decent idea.
There's a very decent idea. But there's an excellent use of the score that is very reminiscent of Blade Runner, but in a Star Wars theme, if that makes any sense. You can hear the notes of Star Wars, but there's synthesizers, there's these pianos that are used. It's really interesting and different. So just want to throw that out there for those who know. Really cool highlight. The music was in yesterday's. Wait, what's today? Saturday? Yesterday's episode. And I can't wait for May the 4th because, hey, you know what? Don't have to wait too long.
Yeah.
So by that time, you'll definitely have seen both, right, Ryan?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good man. I think that is all the official news when it comes to. Oh, the Golden Globes also changed their little thing a little bit. So, yeah, they changed some things. So officially, oh yeah, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are coming back to host this, which I'm cool with. I like them; they're funny.
Announced like months ago.
Yes, but I'm just reiterating because I saw that. Okay, in light of the closures of all theaters in the Los Angeles area, this requirement is temporarily suspended as follows. Motion pictures that have had a bona fide theatrical release plan to begin in Los Angeles during the period of March 15th until a date to be determined by the HFPA when cinemas in the Los Angeles area have generally reopened may instead be released first on a television format, subscription, streaming service, etc., and will still be eligible for the Golden Globe Motion Picture Awards. The HFPA's Reminders List Committee will consider application of the suspension of the rules on a case-by-case basis when compiling the annual Golden Globe reminders for the rest of the fall. So it is basically just a laxing of the rules about what they will accept for films.
This is where you ask yourself, like, what's the deal with, the best film made for television when movies in theaters? So that's something. Like, what's gonna be the difference there?
That's been a really interesting discussion too, because now some things are moving towards streaming. Does it count? Because I know the biggest thing was, I'm trying to think of an example. I guess the distinction comes between the service that it comes out. Like if it's HBO says this is a TV movie, but then again, is it a movie or a TV movie? Because that definition has changed so much from the past 5 years alone. Yeah, but that's another discussion for another day. Anything else you guys want to add? I know we love the Golden Globes.
They're so great. I was watching The Martian the other day. Still really funny.
It's a great comedy.
It deserves that award.
I'm happy they still have a host, but otherwise I have no real thoughts on the Golden Globes.
Yeah. They are indeed the Golden Globes, and that is that. They are fun to watch some of the time. It depends, really. It really depends. Yeah, but Space Jam next year coming out. Space Jam 2, A New Legacy. Or excuse me, it is literally called Space Jam: A New Legacy. There is no 2, so still not a good title though.
Okay, question about that. Do you prefer sequels that have a number, or do you prefer subtitles for sequels? I'm a subtitle guy.
It depends. It depends on the film. Like I'm okay with some films doing it, like if it's a 1, 2, 3, like if it's an animated film or more of a comedy of some kind, I'm okay with that. Like you look at almost all Pixar films, besides like Finding Dory, the sequels always had a 2 after them, or a 1.
I have a question for you because you were at How to Train Your Dragon guy. How much did it bother you that there?
Oh, it bothers me so much. I knew what you're talking about. It bothered me so much that it was not completed. Just How to Train Your Dragon 3. Do not say How to Train Your Dragon. How to Train Your Dragon 2. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. What are you doing? Just either complete it or retroactively go back and change 2. It just does not make sense.
That's exactly what they did with John Wick 2.
Yes, they did.
John Wick Chapter 2. John Wick.
Parabellum. Ooh.
John Wick Chapter. Well, at least they did still include the chapter. It was John Wick Chapter 3 - Parabellum.
Yeah, that is true. Well, then they can just
at
go
least
back.
They still had it, but why?
Can't they just go back and retroactively, like in the new Blu-ray DVD releases, just say John Wick Chapter 2?
Could just kill herself in Rome.
Win in Rome.
When in Rome.
Do as the John
bathtub.
Spoiler.
Actually, you want another movie news? John Wick 4 has been moved for 1 year. They pushed it a year.
That's true. They did. Yes.
Oh, wait. Who do they? Wait. Say what movie again?
John Wick.
Oh yeah, yeah. There was 2 other ones. Do you know what the other ones there were Abe, that was pushed along with it?
No, I don't.
I'm trying to think because.
I mean, Venom was moved. I think we talked about it last week.
Because recently 2 days ago, movies were just announced to be moved.
John Wick makes sense because they hadn't even started shooting the movie.
That's true.
And Keanu hasn't finished shooting The Matrix, so he has to finish shooting The Matrix before going back John Wick more. So.
I am looking right now. Oh, hey, remember when we talked about Greyhound? Still TBD after they removed it from June 12th. Oh yeah, Jungle Cruise has moved a whole year. Forgot about that. In the Heights has moved a whole year. King Richards
They
was
moved In the Heights a whole year.
a whole
Yes.
year.
Yes.
What the fuck?
You know they don't want to compete with West Side Story. That's the thing. They want to
That's
be
sad.
a
Come
whole year, and I was kind of excited for that movie.
In the
So The Nightingale was moved a whole year.
What's that?
Didn't
I
it
have
come
no
out last
idea.
year?
I was about to say moved from December
I was
25th,
like-
2020.
I was like, wait a minute, didn't The Nightingale come out like a year ago? Was that Jennifer Kent's movie?
Yeah, why is that on here? I don't understand. What is that? What does that mean? It's there on Vulture. See, this is why I'm questioning Vulture now.
You think I know it's extremely hard. So you think movies like sometimes like directors like smaller movies that they're able like to start shooting in February and put out the movie like in the end of December.
Mhm.
We're not getting any of those right now, right? So we're probably gonna have like a blockbuster heavy, if you may say
Yeah.
so. Like those studio movies heavy award season. Well, last year was a studio heavy. Well,
Yeah.
Netflix was there, but
Well, hold on a second, guys.
Hold on.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, while that is the case, Ryan apparently has someone at his door. So before we end, I'm going to quickly bring up the Los Angeles Times had like a little rundown of movies that have either been moved or are TBA that are currently being postponed. But these are some of the big movies that that we need to keep our eye on come Oscar season. So we have, oh no, I believe it's Ammonite.
I have no idea what
No idea?
movie you're talking about.
It's Ammonite. Neon is the distributor, producers of last year's winner Parasite. It stars Kate Winslet and Saoirse Ronan. They
Who
pay.
directed-
Oh,
who directed it?
see, this is why this Los Angeles Times does not have this on there. So I'm
Okay,
kind of
so don't bother, son. Just curious.
too late. I copied and pasted.
Oh. Is it a lesbian drama?
It is actually.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the movie I was thinking of. Yeah,
It's Francis Lee who did
Francis, huh?
God's Own Country.
My name is-
That's
Oh,
it.
isn't that
really.
the gay movie?
What was that?
Isn't that the gay sex movie?
Yeah, Ammonite or
No,
God's
God's Own Country.
I guess it is. I haven't seen it. Which is
thought it
ironic. It might be.
So
Francis
what's the
Lee.
name of the movie? I need to watch later.
Wait, it's God's Own Country.
Yes, it is. Yeah, this is the one with like
young
really
man.
intense gay sex scene.
Wait, really? Okay, huh?
Yes.
So then Ammonite, Francis Lee has a pattern. It seems to be. Ammonite stars Kate Winslet and Saoirse Ronan, and the plot is in 1800s England, acclaimed but unrecognized fossil hunter Mary Anning, played by Kate Winslet, works alone on a rugged southern coastline. With the days of her famed discoveries behind her, she now searches for common fossils to sell to tourists to support herself and her ailing mother. When a wealthy visitor entrusts Mary with the care of his wife Charlotte, she cannot afford to turn his offer down. Proud and relentlessly passionate about her work, Mary initially clashes with her unwelcome guests, but despite the distance between their social class and personalities, an intense bond begins to develop, compelling the two women to determine the true nature of their relationship. So, there you go. So, Kate Winslet, Saoirse Ronan. So, that's that one. And then also, anyway, I mentioned other ones that we have. We have Annette, a musical love story between a stand-up comic played by Adam Driver and an opera star, Maureen Cotillard, from French director Leo Caro? Leo Cara? He did Holy Motors, for those who are aware. I apologize, my French is not up to par. It's set in LA and features new music from the acclaimed art pop band Sparks. Think of it as a phantasmagorical La La Land. Okay. Its distributor is Amazon. So that could definitely make it. If that's Amazon, they could literally throw that on there with the streaming service rules and call it a day. What else do we got? I'm just kind of going through quickly some of these. The French Dispatch, that was pushed back till October 16th, but it is finished. Last Duel has been by Ridley Scott, starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Adam Driver, has been suspended for the time being.
I don't think that's coming out this year because they were shooting at the beginning of the year, so I don't think they will be. I mean, Ridley Scott has, that guy took a guy away in a movie in 2 weeks and put back in.
That is true. So what do you know? I guess there's actually news after all. So good on you, New Academy, for having some news actually come out for us to talk about. You did it just for us, and I appreciate that. All right, so Ryan, where can the people find you?
You can find me anywhere you want to find somebody at Armacan19 or in my backyard. I think I'm going to grill some hot dogs and enjoy a few more margaritas tonight.
That's a good Saturday right there. And then, Abe, where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at AbrahamF25. You can follow me on Instagram at AbrahamFlores25. And as always, you cannot add me on Facebook. This has been working because I hadn't got a new friend request from somebody I don't know, like in months.
Good.
So I guess it's working. So I have a question for Ryan. How many margaritas do you need to drink to get drunk?
I don't know.
He's gonna find out.
I have this funny story. My sister once got drunk, like in a boat. The boat in
was she by herself?
No.
Okay, good.
It was this boat like where they have open bar and everything. She was 60 years old. And then my mom noticed, and she beat the crap out of her. So kids, don't drink when you're 60 out of margaritas.
Yeah, brain's not fully developed then, so
but if you're of age, they're delicious.
If you're, but it's only right when that happens. It's very special. It does not work beforehand.
Something fundamentally changes at that moment.
Yes.
What's the drinking age in Canada?
It varies by province, but it is 18 in most places and 19 in a few. It's 19 in the most populous provinces for the most part.
It's 18. These Americans are weird. 21.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't care.
I think that 19 is weird. Like 21 is strange too, but like why some provinces are 1 year later than the rest, I will never understand.
I don't understand it either. Anyway, you can follow me at Twitter at _man. No, that's not right. I forgot the first part. You can find me at
Twitter man.
You can find me at Twitter man. I am here to save the day. It's late. I am Cine _man. That's CINE_MANN. As well as my YouTube channel, Manning Franks, and as well as hosting Gone with the Wind here. But you're listening to this, so yeah. But if you're listening to this on a YouTube channel, go to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcast, and give us a review, a like, and a listen there. And then if you're listening, we are on Spotify. Yes, we are on all platforms, I believe. And if we're not, let us know, and then I will look into said space. But if you're listening to us on the podcast service, go to our YouTube channel, give us a watch, and give us a like over there, because we try to diversify our assets, because that's sounds very technical, that's what makes us good statistical stuff. It's good. It's nice. That's not my forte, if you can tell. But anyway, thank you guys for listening and watching. To everyone you did, I appreciate it. And during this time, again, wash your hands, don't touch your face, and practice good social distance. Take care.